Ooh. There you go. That's
8
nice.
o'clock. Here we go.
8 o'clock. So that is my wife telling me.
Get your shit together.
No, that's my sister. Saying that my stepbrother has a new job.
Sweet.
I mean,
Congratulations, stepbrother.
Yep.
I love that for him.
Little things.
Unless it's the Canadian government. In which case, I feel bad for you, son.
No, he's been teaching in South Korea for the last long while, and then he stopped teaching, and he's got another job. So, but I'm not sure because they keep saying, "Oh, he's coming back to Canada." And it's like, "Oh, he's going to get a job." And I'm like, "Well, in Canada, or is he going to get another job in South Korea?" I'm really confused by the entirety of the situation, but that's okay because we are okay. So I gotta kind of remember to talk to that.
We got to talk to that, not to ourselves.
Well, the other best part about talking to ourselves is that it's eventually a podcast, so it's all just based on the audio anyway.
Eventually.
Which is funny because the audio is the thing that I screw up the most. And I keep saying, oh yeah, I don't want to worry about video. Video is stupid. But like the video is the only saving grace for when we totally mess up. I see an empty Pliny bottle. It's right over there.
You do. And then the next one over, you can't really see it from our perspective, is Blind Pig, which is another one of Russian River's flagship beers.
Okay, so we need to talk about. Well, you're gonna fill me in on Russian River and everything like that. However, it is 8 o'clock. I'm good to go. I am Ross. Joining me is Ian Smith of Tapestry Beer Bar, 833 Sackville Drive, and together we're attempting to drink Nova Scotia dry, including a few things from outside of Nova Scotia.
One thing.
One thing. One thing.
And one thing only.
The whole point, because you sent me a message last week and you said. The dog is very excited. We're here on location now. We don't go on location all that much anymore because dogs. But we're right here at Tapestry Beer Bar, 833 Sackville Drive. But Ian sent me a message last week and he said, I've got a Pliny the Elder. You've got to try it. And I believe my usual first answer is, what's a Pliny the Elder?
It's about how that went. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been talking about it for a while. It's funny because I lived in the Southwest United States for a long time.
Yeah.
And the whole time that I was there, I had no idea what it was. Nobody had bothered to inform me. So at that point, Russian River was keeping their cards very close.
Okay.
So they weren't even selling outside of California.
Okay.
Being able to get it here on the East Coast is a very new thing.
Yeah.
Within like the last, I think, year or two. They've reached out and I think they're in like 8 or 10 bars in Las Vegas. So if you happen to be going on a boys trip or girls, you're going on a bachelorette, you're going to Vegas, you can go to Russian River's website and you can click on where can I find your beer? And it'll show the locations where it's been. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily it's there because it sells out really fast. As soon as people find out that it's there, it's like a black hole and it just sucks everything in.
So it's a big brewery.
It's a massive brewery.
Okay.
So they've opened up a second location. So they started really, really small back in the late 90s in a really small little town called Santa Rosa, which is an hour outside of San Francisco.
Okay.
So you can imagine like how we visualize the drive out of Halifax into the valley is kind of sort of like when you're driving from San Francisco to Santa Rosa. North.
Yeah.
But also like the scenery. So as soon as you get outside, you cross over the Golden Gate Bridge and then you're driving through farm country pretty quickly. And it's just all of these big, beautiful rolling hills and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of vineyards and like God's country.
It always gets me, and I look this up every now and then, where I grew up in Nova Scotia. I've been here forever, and when I go into Halifax, sometimes I think, ooh, I could never live in the city.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not a city.
It's not.
It's barely a city. So, and then
but it's getting there.
I look up other places, and I think there are comparable cities in the States that I've never heard of.
Yeah. For sure.
Like similar size,
For
similar vibe and everything.
Yeah.
Everyone's heard of New York City, everyone's heard of LA,
Yeah.
everyone's heard of Chicago.
Yeah.
But we're talking like, what's one down from Des Moines kind of thing? What's outside of that? So that Jamestown, Pennsylvania, probably. And that's Halifax is about, I don't think it's quite that size.
Like the 500 to 750 range is definitely pretty under the radar.
I've been just trying to appreciate just how many people, just the population density of the United States is.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about and the only way that I'm putting this in perspective is, okay, a Halifax that's 9 Halifaxes wide and 9 Halifaxes tall.
Yeah.
You've got yourself approximately San Francisco.
Right.
And then an hour outside of that, if you went to the valley and there was Oland Breweries was main right there, and they were just starting up and then expanding out a little bit, but it was difficult too because an hour away there was 5 other Oland Breweries.
Right.
Like, we don't have the company, we don't have the businesses, we don't have the industry. I mean, it kind of exists, but just on a much smaller scale.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I try to wrap my mind around.
Yeah.
So when you're telling me that there's this, and it is pretty famous, I see it popping up online every now and then as well.
Yeah.
It was, oh yeah, you all know about this, and even just the craft beer subreddit, I'm baffled.
Yeah.
I'm baffled by all the time. Someone says, "Hey, I just picked this up." Oh yeah, I got that the last time I was in Delaware.
Right.
I'm like, how do you remember? Like, state to state. God, I'm still trying to remember all the ones that I just tried here in Nova Scotia, and it's so things overwhelm me quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think I live in the right place.
I mean, it would be really overwhelming really fast. So here's a staggering number for you.
Yeah.
Last time I looked this up, so I mean, this is pretty close to accurate. So Canada and California have approximately the same population.
Okay.
More or less, within a couple of million.
35, 30.
It's 40.
Oh, we're up to 40. Okay.
Yeah. 40 in both.
Yeah.
Give or take. So it kind of goes without saying that there are the same number of craft breweries in Canada as there are in the state of California.
It would be an assumption.
Yeah.
But definitely wrong.
It's true.
Oh, is it?
So there's around 1,200, 1,300 craft breweries in all of Canada. And there's over 1,200 craft breweries in the state of California.
Right. And California is about half of Quebec?
As like a square kilometer thing, I don't know. It's pretty wild considering like everybody thinks that California is so warm all the time. Northern California on the California-Oregon border is above Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
That's how far up it goes. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty crazy. But like, I mean, so that alone, like you could spend your entire lifetime drinking your way through California and
never scratch the surface. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, starting this whole thing and trying to drink of the breweries in Nova Scotia, I liked it as a project because it seemed easy.
It's sure.
Doable.
100%.
Let's say. Definitely doable.
Except those little bastards keep on making new beer that you got to try.
There's that, and you got to try everything of that side as well. And then you forget about the little ones, and then some of them close, and then one opens, and you don't remember. But, so Russian River, and they exist, and
so, okay, so
we got to go all the way back.
We'll go back, so we'll back that up. So you can say, like, like, Halifax was a big deal now, and then, like, but you have to understand, like, in the mid-90s, San Francisco wasn't really the thing it is now. The only reason that San Francisco is what it is because of Silicon Valley. I mean, San Francisco was always like a big town, but San Francisco's population before Silicon Valley, pre-internet, was approximately the same size as Halifax. It was around 500,000 people.
Increased.
Wasn't that big, but yeah, like, I mean, it's gone up dramatically. So to be an hour outside of little San Francisco in the 90s is equivalent to a little brewery up there because Santa Rosa is not very big, 50,000 people, maybe. It's a pretty small town. But in the middle of all of that was this really cool little brewery that looks, I don't know, it's all like wood paneling, and it looks like an old school pub. There's nothing flashy about it at all, but Vinny, who's a master brewer. So him, Ken from Sierra Nevada, and John from The Alchemist, like the 3 biggest breweries, or certainly the 3 most famous breweries in
Yeah.
America, they all cut their teeth together in California. They all were together approximately around the same time, becoming master brewers in California together.
Okay.
Ken and Vinny know each other really well because it's the Sierra Nevada mountain range that separates them, and that's it. Like, Russian River's on this side of the mountains, Sierra Nevada's on that side of the mountains.
That's handy.
And like Sierra Nevada, the difference is that you can get Sierra Nevada Pale Ale in every grocery store, in every CVS, in every bar, in every restaurant in all of America, from Seattle to Florida, from California to Maine, and everything in between. You might as well just X the entire country out. You can get it.
Was it's the famous stuff. But but that's still considered, would you say, craft beer?
100%. It's still owned by Ken.
So
to me, that's craft beer. Sam Adams is craft beer. It's the third largest independent in the world behind Heineken and Sapporo because it's still owned by Jim Koch.
So is it ownership that makes it, or is it amount
to me
that
it
you're
is.
making?
To me, it is.
Because like Michelob, Busch, you know, those are kind of corporations.
They are.
Own it as opposed to
AnBev owns it. Yeah.
Okay. And it's not that they make, well, they probably make lots more, like a percentage more, 50% or 100% more than the largest craft brewery.
Yeah, 100% they do. So when you get owned by a major conglomerate, when you get swallowed up by a conglomerate, I feel like that's when you've got to change the narrative. When you're still owned by one person, or no, I wouldn't even say publicly traded. Like none of these companies are publicly traded. They're all owned by one person.
Yeah.
Jim Gennard owns Oakley, used to, until they sold it. But like to me, that's a mom and pop grassroots sort of company. And a lot of those companies came from California, and they've done extremely well because of the population base and because it's the fourth largest GDP in the entire whole wide world. The state of California.
I learned that.
Yeah.
When did I learn that?
It's nuts. It's crazy. But so to me, even Sierra Nevada, despite its enormous growth and its widely accessibility, is still craft beer to me. It certainly tastes like craft beer. If you have a Sierra Nevada, you're like, oh, wow.
This line in the sand.
It's different. Yeah. It's just different. Like you're never going to have anything that tastes like Sierra Nevada.
So is Pliny the Elder? Would you say that was Russian River's flagship? That was like their most famous.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of their biggest claims to fame is Blind Pig. Blind Pig was the original double IPA in America. So it's the reason why we love all these big, beautiful double IPAs that we have here in Nova Scotia. But Pliny is kind of like the one that put Russian River on the map and allowed them to grow very slowly. They stuck to that one brewery, and I don't know the size of it, but they stuck to that one brewery for quite a while. They didn't open up the second one in, I can't think of where it is. They didn't open up the second one until probably like 10 or 15 years later. Yeah, but that's a masterpiece. Like I've never seen a brewery like that before.
So are we having that first, or is that after?
We're going to do flights first.
Okay, flights first.
We're going to do flights first. We're going to talk about what we have here at Tapestry Beer Bar because this is a shameless plug.
I hope that's...
so
still seems fine.
This is summer at Tapestry Beer Bar.
Today. It definitely became summer today.
Nice. I started summer a couple of weeks ago.
We tried. and then it froze over a few times. There's a few places that have had their patios open.
So, strawberry herb beer from Smokehouse.
Strawberry wheat beer?
Strawberry herb beer, yeah. It's a...
the herb beer.
The herb beer.
I think I had...
So...
Was it a raspberry one I had? No, something else. No, I've not had this.
So this one's really neat. So this is by far and away the number one greatest selling beer in Tapestry Beer Bar history.
Really?
Primarily because just about everybody who makes a fruit beer uses extracts or purees. This uses hundreds of pounds of fresh Valley strawberries.
Yeah, that
so it doesn't have that artificial kind of sweetness to it.
If you told me this was a cider, I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
It tastes, it plays like a cider.
It's got that fresh.
Very bright, very sparkly
Yeah.
kind of feeling to it. The mouth feel is the flavor grips you, but it's still a very light body to it.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's really refreshing.
That is very refreshing. Very good.
Summer in a glass.
My wife would like that, so we need to drive down to Berwick and buy some. Assume they got them cans.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I was on my way down. I did not tell my co-host Ian what the plan was. So we were on last week, and I messed up the sound, as I mentioned.
As you do.
As I do constantly.
Mhm.
Oh, no, wait. Was last week the one that I messed up the sound? Anyway. So, and then I think you messaged me, was it Wednesday or Thursday?
I can't
It was
remember.
very soon after
Okay.
after we did last week.
Okay.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, because I'm pretty sure Ian, my Ian had been available for 3 weeks in a row, and usually that means that his next one he's going to be on night shift.
Okay.
So I reached out to him and I said, hey, are you on nights next week? He said, oh, yeah, unfortunately so. I said, well, then, all right. In that case, I'm going to say yes to an adventure. And that's all I
That
told
works
him.
well.
I said, I'm going to do a thing. He says, yep, okay.
Oh,
cool.
so he doesn't even know this.
Oh, he does now.
Okay.
Because when I posted that earlier today, and
Yeah.
I put up the thing, and here's what's going
he's
on
gonna
tonight.
be pissed.
So I get a message from him saying, where is it?
He's gonna be pissed.
It's good. It's,
So for clarification, Ian's the hophead. You're the malt guy, and Ian's the hophead.
we've both been just total malt aficionados. See how it tells the
but
story.
he likes the IPAs.
He loves the IPAs now.
You don't love the IPAs.
I
You tolerate them.
I love a juicy or a hazy IPA. I still don't like a bitter West Coast. So, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Hey, Mr. Beer Man. Rebecca is asking if there's any of that pineapple IPA left at Tapestry. Would you bring back a bottle, please? Hold your laughter. And I ask the same of the Pliny the Elder. Full reimbursement is assured. I'm jealous. Have fun. So I said,
Full reimbursement.
I said, I don't think he bottles anything.
He sure doesn't.
And I'm fairly certain the pineapple dipper is long gone.
Oh, yeah. I haven't had Pineapple Express here for,
Yeah, it's been nearly half a year. So he hasn't quite visited and hung out with you often enough to know not to ask that question.
Correct.
But
Indeed he hasn't.
I read it and I went,
and that's fine.
"Aw."
And that's fine.
So, and it just means, and this is what I do, where I keep trying to explain to my friends, hey, you got to come around and we'll meet there, and then you'll experience, and then you'll see what's going on.
I mean, it's a hard thing to explain, and it's.
Well,
I'm caught in a weird situation because our beer is obviously taking off, and it's getting a lot of traction. People really love what Jeff and I are brewing, which is great. I don't want to grow too fast. I don't want to make that mistake. I don't want to leverage myself too much. So I get caught in the middle between like, okay, demand is way up here and supply is here right now, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to have.
No.
It's not a bad problem to have. I'd like to close that gap a little bit.
Yeah.
So
you talked about getting another tank system or getting a larger tank system.
So I mean, but like the next step up from where I am now, that's going to cost me like $15,000.
Okay.
I don't just have that sitting around.
I don't think anyone does. I hope no one does.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure there's plenty of people that do.
So the entire model is it's perfect for what Ian and I do. So we should honestly be here once a week because you travel around. You do the travel that we don't always have time for.
I do.
And you bring it all in, and this is the best of the best. We travel like this. It's next door to me. This is up in Berwick, and I haven't tried it yet. And I'm like, what am I doing with my time? And driving my kid to rugby tournaments. But in trying that, so this is perfect for all of the Nova Scotia craft beer podcasts and people that want to try everything because you start here and you and I'm trying these ones from all the different corners, and booyah, that's fantastic.
I mean, it is cool. Like so
it's useful for me. Is what I'm saying. It's really
and anybody who self-identifies as like a beer nerd or a beer drinker. I mean, my ethos here at Tapestry Beer Bar is number one. I look after the little guys and girls first. So It's always going to be small, cool, unique, interesting breweries that maybe you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Because I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And like, not to say that the big ones aren't entrepreneurs, but
Have you ever put Propeller Galaxy on tap?
never.
Okay. That answers that because that's the one that's everywhere.
And so is Dirty Blonde.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've never put that one on either.
And they're both all right.
They're both all right.
They're both fine. They're both
There's
pretty
nothing
good.
wrong with either of them.
And what I like about it is if I'm in the middle of absolute nowhere,
Yep.
and you're just in some diner thing,
Yep.
and you look and you see a couple cans of Dirty Blonde are in the fridge,
Sure.
and I think, yes, give me that. Pass your hand over the Olins and the Schooner and the whatever else you call beer. We've changed topic a number of times.
Mango Passion Fruit Berliner Weiss.
Berliner Weiss.
From Tanner & Co.
Oh, okay.
Berliner Weiss is an old school sour.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't like sours.
I don't. Oh man, my wife. See, she for the summer series. I need to send her. She's the summer beer one. She loves all these. Now mango has a flavor.
Yep.
I've been told numerous times that when something is a passion fruit flavor,
Yep.
there is no flavor. Like you could eat.
I disagree.
You could eat an entire passion fruit.
I disagree.
And get nothing from it. There's way more in what's the one I'm trying to think of? Not persimmon. What's the one where it's all the little bubble seeds in it, and it's really difficult to eat and to open?
I don't know.
I will think of this another time.
Star anise. Star anise has got a lot of flavor, so it's not that.
It's drinkable, and I mean, I love all of Danny Tanner's stuff.
Dan Tan. So I'm going back to, if I can just backtrack for a second, the supply and demand thing.
Oh yeah. That's right.
So the last 2 months have been crazy because initially all the beer that I was brewing in February was going towards I'm going to release a beer once a week in March.
Right, because crap beer month. I remember you telling me that.
So I wanted to do it. It was going to be great. I fucked up my beer, very first beer for the very first time.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the first beer in the series of 4 was oxidized. And I poured it. I was like, oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So that changed the entire dynamics. So, but it was fine. Like I still released 3 and that was great and whatever. All the beer that I was making in March went to the Science of Beer. Because it takes about a month to get that beer up and running and ready in my system.
And then there was only like less than 30 days, about 30 days until
5 weeks.
Together We Brew.
Yeah, it was 5 weeks to Together We Brew. So all the beer that I made in April went to Together We Brew.
Ooh.
And then here we are heading into June.
Yep.
June 20th is going to be, I mean, it's 2 days later, but whatever. It is going to be Tapestry Beer Bar's 4-year anniversary.
Okay.
And Sackvegas Brew Company's 1-year anniversary. On Friday, June 20th, I will release 6 of my own beers. 3 that people have tried before, 3 that people have never tried before. In addition to that, as part of Tapestry's 4-year anniversary, I'm releasing 8 beers from 8 breweries, one-offs for Tapestry Beer Bar's anniversary. They've never been made before. They may not ever be made again. You cannot get them anywhere else except Tapestry Beer Bar.
I'm doing the math in my head.
12.
And
14.
I can...
that was terrible math.
Normally I'd say, I'm busy. But that is something I can't miss that. I felt really bad. I missed Together We Brew because my daughter had sports. I was available for Signs of Beer, and I really enjoyed that event.
That was great.
And so I can't miss this birthday. So
it's going to be fun.
It's
going to be a lot of fun.
Hope no one's in provincial finals, which she probably will be. June. There's no school sports in June. Sweet.
We're done.
Yeah, they're done that, and it's a Friday, and I don't usually have plans on a Friday.
Here it is.
And no one's
got plans now.
Yeah, no one's got rehearsal. All right. And I'll bring Ian. I'll bring our friend Tim because he's down here and he's always offering us up a place to stay.
He lives over in.
He's nearby.
Yeah.
And also Corey
Windsor Junction or something.
Corey and Jeff are over there as well somewhere. So I got a few people, but okay, yeah, that's gonna be the push. I'll see if I can get a small group here for that. Are you playing music?
Not till Saturday. So if you want to come, listen to me spin.
Which I do, but I also part of me wants to come in and like bring friends and introduce them to you.
Okay.
And I
Fair
want
enough.
you to talk their ears off. And
Well,
like that, so.
I won't have time to talk their ears off because unfortunately, more than likely, I'm going to be bartending on my birthday or on my bar's anniversary. I should probably take the day off. It would be nice to actually like be a part of the celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I was last year, primarily because me and a buddy of mine sang.
Have all your bartenders taken a bartending course?
We all have to.
I've never taken a course.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so there's two different things. So the NSLC and Alcohol and Gaming require a serve right certification, which is just like responsible bartending. None of my bartenders are professionally trained. No. My beer slingers are not professionally trained.
But they've got the NSLC.
They have the serve right certification.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that possible to acquire?
Absolutely.
If you want to mingle, I will offer to come in and bartend for you. That would be fun.
What kind of qualifications do you have?
None.
What makes you think that I'm going to allow you to start slinging beers?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why are you rushing? Why are you going?
Because that one was sour.
You drink so fast.
You got to get that one through.
You just drink so much faster than me. That's all.
Well, something.
This is
amazing.
Another one that you're going to find at Tapestry Beer Bar all summer long. Erd Beer sticks around all summer long, as does Summer 11. It is a lemon shandy from Church.
Yes, it is. Very lemony.
And it's got ginger ale.
I got lemonade, like just a fizzy lemonade, or like you know when someone makes you a lemonade and you think, you made this yourself.
Homemade.
And not just a
Freshly squozen.
Yeah.
Freshly squozen.
This tastes like someone made a really good lemonade. Because there's a hint of a hint of imperfection.
Okay.
Where you know what? The lemon flavor is just tweaked a little bit more and less sweet than it could be. And so that...
Can you pick up the ginger? I can pick out the ginger ale pretty readily, pretty easily.
Not ginger ale, it's ginger beer.
Well, it's ginger ale, but okay.
The bitterness is there. Yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Imagine that was minty. I mean,
Minty.
Ginger ale mint? I don't know. I drink that and I smell mint.
Cool.
But I cook in a really weird way, where I just kind of add stuff that I feel like I want to taste / smell.
I mean, it's been sitting in a hot bar for 30 minutes. Just making sure it's cold.
You'd hate the temperature that I like drinking beer. Some stuff, you need it to not be free ice cold. Because otherwise the flavor's not there.
I disagree. I keep my bar at 3.5 degrees.
Pomegranate. My wife is right.
There it is.
Pomegranate is the one.
Oh, did she message you?
Yeah. No, it's there in the chat. But it's the one that's really difficult to open as well. Tiny seeds where you have to take the skin is like in between everything, and then there's individual little beads, and you get those in each one of those. So you can't actually eat it like a fruit because it just spits seeds forever. Yeah. That was the name of it.
There it is.
That's got a strong flavor.
Cool.
But passion fruit, no, I've never been able to describe what passion fruit tastes like. Because it's usually passion fruit and something else. Passion fruit blueberry tastes like blueberry. Passion fruit mango flavored. It's a sidecar flavor.
Yeah, I guess. Vitamin Water back in the day made a passion fruit, And I think it was a passion fruit acai is what it was.
Now there's another one because they're
Right.
When you match it with a
Right.
strong flavor.
I'm okay. I'm not sure it's that strong, but to me, it's what I associate with that vitamin water from when I was a teenager.
All right.
It's sort of like that really interesting sort of like dry, like that I get in that. Because mango is not that at all, obviously.
No.
And it's not the dry part of, or it's not the sour part of the Berliner Weiss, but there's that in-between thing that's like, it goes from mango, and it's not the sour part, but anyway, excuse me.
That's what this reminds me of.
Oh, excuse me.
Where it's a lemon, a lemon shandy.
Lemon shandy.
When I was in Ottawa for a short period of time, I did a work term when I was in university. So this would have been 99.
Yep.
And I don't even remember who first served one of these to me, but we went into the beer, back when there was the LCBO, there was the beer store.
Right.
And they had what they called malt lemonades.
Okay.
And they were branded. So you could get a boomerang, or you get a cyclone, and I think there was a hurricane. So there was several competing ones. It was this big summer flavor, and you could get all these malt lemonades.
Yeah.
And it was like this, but if you had that kind of that malted, that sweet malt flavor to it.
Yeah.
So and I've never been able to find that nothing's really ever come out in this direction, and I've been meaning to try just the original, malt liquor of Colt 45. Never had it.
And then I'm not sure I've ever tried it either, to be honest.
But it's just got this reputation about it, and it's
of course
so these weird famous things. But these malt lemonades never came here because just as I got back, and I was trying to say, hey, we got to try these, we got to find these, they got to be somewhere. Mike's Hard Lemonade came out, and all the Mike stuff, and all of a sudden it was all juice and citrus and all that kind of thing. So beer kind of took a bit of a pause.
Mike's was pretty much the first thing I tried. I didn't even drink till I was 19.
I never even was 21.
I didn't even touch booze till I was 19. And I was in school in Ontario, Wilfrid Laurier University. And the boys took me out, and like I did shots and whatever, and that wasn't really my thing. But I remember going. I think my birthday was on a Wednesday that year, and then on a Friday. On the Friday, I'm like, so I went to the local club, and I was like, what am I gonna drink? Like, I don't know. And the bartender's like, what do you like? I'm like, lemonade. He said, here you go, have a Mike's. So I tried Mike's, and I was like,
it can taste good.
It's pretty good. Now, if you drink 8 Mike's,
your teeth hurt.
And
Everything. And I call that my lemonade hangover. Like, even just regular lemonade. If someone pours you lemonade, we had a lemon flavored beer a few weeks ago, and I was telling Ian about this, where if even at the side of the road, the little kid's got a lemonade stand. I have some lemon. Okay, yeah, here you go. And then do you want another one? Nope. No, I do not. I cannot stand that furry, citrusy.
So it's the exact same thing for me for Cider Fest. Ciders. Yeah. So me and one of my old beer slingers, Jamie Bonvie. Jamie's a big cider girl. She and I did Cider Fest in Mahone Bay, I think. Up at like a church or something like that. It was interesting. Anyway, we got invited to go to that. And even taking tiny sips out of tiny glasses, I think we did like 8.
Okay.
Of just like a couple of ounce pours, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like my mouth is just like, like just the sugar content in those. Like maybe if I had brushed my teeth in between, but even then, obviously it would make it taste disgusting.
Like a mug of water, probably. It'd be so hydrated.
Man.
We went to a cider thing last year. The Apple Blossom Festival had a cider fest that we got tickets to. I think my wife won them on Facebook. And then she said, "Oh, we're going to the cider thing," and I went, because I was expecting I'll try 6, and then I'll just be me and my teeth got to get out of here. I just got to. But there was a couple places, so I kept finding that And everyone kept being really proud of their, try this. It's a really dry apple cider. Like, get out of town. I don't want no. But then as soon as you hear like weird, here's a pear cider. Like, bring it, bring me the pear cider. And someone's like, we've got a blueberry mix over here. Yes, put that in the glass. And then one over the side. Oh, we've figured out a way to make dandelion cider.
Yeah.
So the thing was, I tried maybe about 5 of the apple ones, and then I think I had 3rds, 4ths, and 5ths of the pear and the blueberry and the once I found ones that didn't hurt to drink repeatedly. So
it's just the pure acidity. It's the pure acidity of apples. Like apples are just so acidic by nature that it's just it's rough.
There's got to be something to it though of drinking it, and some apples are more acidic than others.
Obviously,
so you talk to a cider place and they'll tell you, oh, we only use no one would use a Granny Smith apple. It's crazy. But
Gravenstein.
Trying to think of another apple type. There we go. I got to catch up. That was very good.
It's very good.
I feel like I've still got a shandy from some summer pack that we had. I think it was a propeller shandy or a lime shandy or something.
Cool.
Which again, I'm usually kind of avoiding. So what's number 4 in the summer series? This looks again like cider. That's just look how
that is
so clear, it's lovely.
So it is a dry kettle sour from North Brewing Company. It is 3.8%. I love dry kettle sours, and so I never even liked sours. For the first 2 years of Tapestry Beer Bar's existence, I refused to put on sours. Sours are stupid. They're disgusting. Never shall I ever put on sours.
We avoided drinking them. And then I said, okay, we have to because they're making them. So we have to drink them, try them and say what
enough people badgered me.
Yeah.
And I had to, quote unquote, had to. So the very first sour I ever put on was Silver Tart from Big Spruce.
I liked that one. I did like
and I've trained my palate now. So now I love sours. A kettle sour was the very last type of beer, the very last sour that I hadn't tried, that I didn't like, that was just too far away, because like sours, generally speaking, have some sort of flavor to them. Dry kettle sours do not. They are straight sour for the sake of being sour.
Yep.
And South Shore from Lone Oak is the one that turned me on the most.
Okay.
It's what got me onto a dry kettle sour, because if you drink that sumbitch, because it's 5%, 5.5%, something like that. So you can imagine that, but more alcoholic, which makes that face times 2. Like it is just, it is so dry and so sour, but it's so good.
My wife's introduction, and I'm not sure if it was my fault, if we were just trying lots of different things, but I think a friend of hers said, you got to try this. And she still stands by the Two Crows Jamboree is her favorite.
I mean, there's like 6 or 7 different iterations at this point, but I mean, jamborees are...
Which one it specifically was? It was like strawberry and guava?
Strawberry guava.
I think so.
You got it.
The one that turned my head...
The dogs are still there.
Big, was it Breton or Big... No, Breton's Let's Jam?
Let's Jam.
But they change every... Like they had a lemon one year and a strawberry one.
I think so.
It was a blueberry. It was a blueberry passion fruit. That's where that one comes from. But it was like a blueberry, and I think it was a blueberry passion fruit. And it was amazing. Yeah. It was not a dry sour.
Not at all.
None of this action going on.
Not at all.
But this is why I usually prefer red wines to white wines. It doesn't do the dry, there's not a search for, as soon as someone says, oh, I really like dry, or I really like white wines, and you think to yourself, why? I think, oh, I really like dry white wines. That's why. If you like dry things, then you're going to maneuver towards white wines.
Yeah.
Whereas I like a flavor that absolutely just not, you take a drink and then you have to sit down. It's that full. There's so much going on. And usually that's the red wine over here that's actually actively growing hair through the glass. That one. Try that one. Okay, I definitely have some of that.
So it's funny you say that, because I wasn't a wine drinker until I met my wife back in 2008. Winter 2008, she turned me on to Nova 7 for the very first time. and that was my introduction to wine. And like
Oh.
I only drank sweet wine for the longest time,
Mm.
but as my palate's evolved, and funny enough, as I've started to like sours, drier things, I now like, but I still like sweet wine, don't get me wrong, but like I prefer like a really dry oaked Chardonnay,
Okay.
for an example.
Yeah.
I like really, really dry whites now. And now I'm starting to make my way through the reds. And like I really appreciate them. I don't have the palate for them like I do for whites, primarily because Nova Scotia is so famous for white, so I really love white wine, and I've like really got into it.
Which is funny because we don't have the climate for white grapes, and so we should really be absolutely destroying the red sector, but whatever.
But I'm starting to get more into reds. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fun for me to go somewhere. I'm a big meat eater. I love steak. So if I'm going to go out, I'm going to order a steak. It's going to be a red wine. It's going to go along with it. I'll just pick that one.
Yeah.
I don't care. I know Chile. Chile makes great Malbecs. I really like Chilean Malbecs. I think they're really good. South Africa makes some really good stuff. Obviously, California obviously makes some pretty fantastic stuff. Their cabs are pretty famous. So yeah, but I'll blindly just take something and be like, wow, I really like that.
Do you make a note of what you had?
I don't
what you
at
like?
all.
That was the other thing that led to me trying to record this and do this on the regular, because I kept forgetting what I'd tried before.
I'm gonna go off camera for a second.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna get this out of the way.
Your mic's still hot, so
I'm gonna get these out of the way.
All right. That's fine.
We gotta clean our palate up. Chew a couple more of these. Couple more of these.
Very sad.
No, we're good. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Dave, our superstar for tonight. He's one of my new employees. Firefighter by day, beer slinger by night.
Oh,
yep. I'm so excited for you to get into this.
So this is a strong IPA.
8%.
Not a double IPA, just a strong IPA.
Okay.
And this made them famous.
Real famous. So this is what put them on the map to the point now where they opened up a second brewery. They are able to produce enough, so now they're distributed in, I think, 6 or 8 states across the United States, which is still not very much, funny enough, but they do supply California, which is
now, is it a spread from California, or is it a very surgical hit of supply California, Florida, New York, Illinois?
Not at all. I'm totally off. But
Washington?
So it is California, Oregon, Washington.
Okay. So straight.
Colorado.
All right.
Pennsylvania. And Maine. And Nevada.
Interesting choices.
Yeah.
But okay.
So Colorado is one of the beer meccas in America. Nevada is one of the, Las Vegas is certainly going to make a shit ton of money for you. So that makes sense.
Big market of drinkers.
Big market. Pennsylvania, I have no idea. I have no idea why, other than it's like on the doorstep of New York, and New Yorkers can get there pretty easily.
So trying to get there without having to pay to sell there.
And also like
I'm just going to Jersey
going to New York, going anywhere near New York City, like it would disappear so fast. And then Maine is just like, Maine's a smart move because there's so few people that know about Pliny, but now that it's starting to get like market saturation in Maine, people are starting to like really kind of wake up to it.
So is this you go for a drive, you drive over and you pick some up and you bring it back?
Never. No, you can't do that. Technically, you have to spend 24 hours before. So, I mean, generally speaking, I get my Pliny from California and Nevada when I go away.
Okay.
This came from Maine because a friend of mine went down to New Hampshire and picked up a case of Pliny along the way in a liquor establishment. There's a liquor store that I'm not going to tell you where it is.
That's fair.
Off camera, maybe.
That's fine. No, I was just curious because we are in we are in some times where it is not favorable, and we're all supposed to be making sure that we're not purchasing anything that's American and whatnot. So I know how it's.
So that's frustrating for me as an American citizen to hear, and I know, and I get that. I do understand all of that. However, I don't think anybody, and very few people in America, agree with what is going on down there.
And that's what it used to come back to, because I spent a year working phones. I was at a call center out in Glasgow, and we did AT&T wireless support.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a different one. But I was doing AT&T wireless support down in Dartmouth, and then I did Microsoft support in Glasgow. But I was talking to Americans.
Yeah.
It was an American clientele.
Yeah.
Talk to them every day, and everyone said, "Oh, what's that like? Aren't Americans crazy?" Nope. Americans are not. When you talk to them on an individual basis, no, everyone's normal. Everyone's fine. Everyone's happy. Everyone's actually in a pretty good mood about stuff. It is a really easy conversation to have. And you tell them you're from Canada, and there's a little bit of a surprise of, expecting me to sound like, some crazy French Canadian lumberjack or something like that. But once you get past that, it's, that's really, really nice. And so I always said, it's not. I said, I think I have a problem with Americans as a mob. Not a problem, but I have less trust. But on an individual basis, Americans are just Americans trying to get by. And sort of like, I wouldn't want anyone to judge every individual in our country based on who is the leaders or the leadership of our country at any one given time, ever. Across the board, I wouldn't want anyone to be at the UN and see Chrétien, Paul Martin, Stephen Harper, Trudeau up there, any of them, and saying, "I bet everyone's just like that." Well, no. This is just someone that we put there for right now. Calm down. We're actually, and so I realized that I had to do that same thing, where you can't judge a country by its leaders. You can't say everyone's like that.
Americans are just trying to get by, and they got caught in the crossfire, and yes, enough people voted for President Trump to put him in the position that he's in. I guarantee you that 75% of those people that voted for him, that put him into that position, are probably getting a little bit of
second thought.
What the actual fuck is going on here? 150% tariff on Chinese products that's now come down to I think 85%, something like that.
I haven't checked the news in 45 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on.
I mean, it's just but on the ground, you go to America, you go to Maine, you go to Boston, you go to New Hampshire. It's business as usual. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of what I love about the United States, more so than here, is somebody told me this not so long ago. They snowbirded in Florida, and I'm like, how was that? And they said, honestly, the only people that were talking about politics was Canadians. Mm-hmm. Americans do a really good job of staying in their lane. Nobody really gives a fuck about what you do, what you believe in. Obviously, there's those outliers that the media sensationalizes.
Yeah, there's the Westboro Baptist Church with their signs on the corner.
400 million Americans, and 399 million of them.
They just got their head, they're what? Whatever.
They're just doing their thing. They're just hanging out, and trying to make money and trying to live their best lives, and nobody really cares. Nobody really talks about all that much, and it's nice. It's really refreshing to just be able to go to a place where you're a nobody. You're an unfamiliar.
You don't have to wear your
and you walk into a bar and nobody's gonna start like talking about the news, talking about what's going on.
Whereas if you walk into a bar and you're wearing the wrong team hat,
then we have a problem.
but it's not even that. It's not always a problem. I mean, you with the really wrong hat, you'll get beat up in Canada
for sure.
But usually it's just kind of a look at here. You know, we got one of these. We got a Florida. We got a Panthers fan over here. Like and then everyone's got to talk about it. Usually you end up all as friends.
Of course.
But it's just that kind of intrusion, that initial intrusion.
Look at the color.
Okay. That is very golden. That is exciting.
Like the look of it, you wouldn't think, okay.
And it doesn't smell like an 8%. Damn. Now that smells very crisp.
Cheers.
All right.
Enjoy.
Well. That's incredibly smooth for a bitter, where it sticks a little bit at the front, since I'm a bitter IPA, but it. All right, yep. And I'm not the biggest IPA fan. It reminds me of all of my favorite IPAs that I reluctantly say this is incredibly delicious. And I think the two that I've favored over all the years.
Sure.
Sober Island's Wavebreaker.
Yeah.
And Backstage Brewing.
Some photograph for.
I believe it was just called IPA when I got it. I got it in a bottle like years ago.
Excuse me.
It might not have had a name at the time. They were so kind of new. But this same kind of, I am definitely drinking an IPA, but this is the easiest, smoothest, velvetiest IPA I've ever had. Or I've been able to pour down there.
So what's so neat about this beer is you can pick out every single characteristic that's in it. It is ridiculously piney. It is really bitter and dry.
Yeah.
It's really hoppy. It's even really fruity. It's all of those things in abundance, but yet nothing overpowers anything.
Incredibly well balanced.
It's like a really, really fine wine. Wine has to be incredibly well balanced. You can't have one thing more so than the other. A really fine wine is just incredibly well balanced. And that's exactly what this is. Like, if you say, okay, I'm going to take a drink and you know what? I'm going to look for the pininess of it.
Like everything you said, I can cycle through, even just in the mouth.
I can taste the pine needles and like the sap, because it's got like that sweet, dry, sappy sort of pininess to it. But then I get like mango and papaya and like so much fruit.
Yep.
But then it completely dries out. It has that really West Coast dry bitterness to it.
But not alone. We're mixed with every single thing else. So you like, I would probably say things like, oh, this is it's definitely got elements of a New England IPA, but with West Coast pieces. Yeah. Or you could say it's a West Coast IPA, but with a little bit of a New England kind of smooth citrus mix in there. So it's just a really, really well balanced. And again, are you sure? It does not taste like an 8%.
Yes, I am sure.
What do I have on my, oh my God, there's so much reading material.
Right there.
Pliny the Elder was a Roman naturalist, scholar, historian, and author. I learned that when I was trying to...
I bet you did.
I think I was trying to look up pictures of the bottle because I was trying to download it. And all of a sudden there was all this very ancient pictures. And I went, what am I getting into?
He was around.
In his writings, he refers to Lupus salictarius, meaning wolf among scrubs, likely an earlier reference to hop vines growing wild among willows. Pliny the Elder died in 79 AD while saving people during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Damn. He was immortalized by his nephew and adopted son. I was about to ask if there was a Pliny the Younger.
There sure is.
Pliny the Elder and beer is a full-bodied hop forward double IPA. Keep refrigerated. Oh, it does say double IPA.
Okay.
Fresh to
sure.
best enjoy this beer, because I thought it did just say, everything I looked up just said Pliny the Elder. It is a strong IPA. Does not improve with age. Hoppy beers are not meant to be aged. Keep away from heat.
They are not.
Respect your elder. Keep cold. Blah blah blah. Is a historical figure. Don't make the beer inside this bottle one. Not a barley wine style ale. Do not age. Age your cheese, not your Pliny. Respect hops. Consume fresh. Yeah, that the one I brought you, the sea level. I think that's the 2023 winter barrel.
Okay.
So
I was wondering about that.
It's been in the bottle since then.
Awesome.
And I'm like, I think that's a good thing.
I'm going to keep going. Dark beers for the most part, yeah. Yep. Dark beers are made to...
I mean, optimally, you'd pour it back and put it in a cask and let it age even longer than that.
It smells like hops. So, like, funny enough,
not an overpowering hop.
Yeah, so we've got a clear line of sight to my brewery, just right over there. And I dry hopped one of my anniversary beers just before you got here.
Okay.
And as soon as you cut open that bag of hops,
that's what you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So the kit beers that I've got, and you do the whole recipe, you do the boil and the mash and the wort and everything on the stove. But the last one I did was a black IPA, and it was dry hopped as well. So I thought that was kind of fun. You put it in there, and every time, the last couple of kits that I've done, where you crack open the bag of hops, it always takes me back to I worked a summer job, a couple of summers, I think. It was over in Burnside at Brewing Centers, which I think got bought or turned into Noble Grape.
Mm-hmm.
But back when it was Brewing Centers, it was done by, oh man, I don't remember their last names. It was Mark and Steve, and they were award-winning beer makers.
They're the guys that still own Brew HQ. Pretty sure.
I haven't.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But the store was like kit stuff, buy a carboy, buy a hydrometer, this and that. And then the back wall, it was just ice cream tubs full of grain.
Yeah.
And they would get new grains in, and they'd fill them up. And say, oh, yeah, you got to try this grain. And really nerdy brewmakers would come in and say, oh, yeah. And they'd smell the grain and say, oh, I can't wait to make a whatever out of this one. And I'm watching them going, these guys are absolutely crazy. How do you kind of tell whatever it smells like? One of my jobs was I would take the bulk hops, and I would put them in individual bags or individual containers. That's one of my summer job things. So all the smells of like grain or fresh hops always takes me back to just sitting on that carpeted floor putting things in plastic containers. It was fun. It was pretty cool. I didn't learn nearly enough that I should have. Given the opportunity, I definitely should have learned far, far more. Chose not to on purpose. So was this was your one, or hopefully he gave you a few bottles out of the case. Okay.
I got 6.
So I'm not splitting your only one. That's good. I appreciate it. It is really good. I'm not the biggest IPA person, fan, everything.
I know.
But like I say, this is of those IPAs that I said, wow, okay, this is something that I can really easily drink because it's so well balanced. It's so smooth. The body, the mouthfeel, everything is all there that I appreciated it. But it's why when I'm at an event and someone walks by, like a server, and they've got a tray, and they say, oh, smoked salmon. And I would say, if I were hungry or starving, yes, I would eat smoked salmon, fine. But I don't get the allure of people that are just, it's like, oh, smoked salmon, it's the best thing. They just flail on the floor. I think I'm not going to do that. So if you're offering up, buttered lobster or smoked salmon, I'll just say, no thanks. I won't take that experience away from someone else.
Right.
So if there's, a case of Pliny the Elder, I would see it, and I'd say, oh, I got to get that. And I know exactly who to give it to, because I'm not going to drink it, because I would realize its value and know that it needs to get to the right person. I don't need to be the one that consumes it.
Fair enough.
Unless, of course, dying of thirst, middle of the desert, is going to save my life.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. A special occasion, I don't know, some kind of thing like that. But no, it's the kind of thing where it's making me learn to appreciate things that I do not gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And all it does is it just helps me target potential gift ideas. I don't like sours, but I'm mapping out getting some of that for my wife, all of that for her, and I'm sort of like, okay, she's got to try all of that. She's gonna be so jealous that I had a flight of sours tonight. But thanks. No, I'm glad I now finally have a base reference when you say Pliny the Elder, and I can just say something like, no. It tasted worse than that. It wasn't like Pliny at all. It was like that, but way more tree. Like tree bark.
I mean, people. It's funny, me being in the situation that I'm at, where I like steward this whole Tapestry Beer Bar ship, and I bring in all of these beers from around Nova Scotia, and I feel like I bring in the absolute best of the best, and that's not an ego thing, and that's just like I take an immense amount of pride in saying, okay, out of the beers that are from around Nova Scotia in this category, in this style, this represents at the very least top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Very least top 5. Worst case scenario.
I don't think there would be any success without that. Like, you can't just say, oh, I need to get a random 5 Pilsners.
I mean, every other bar in
3 out of
Nova
5 of them
Scotia seems to think that that's totally fine. But, like, I hold myself in this bar to a higher standard. So it's funny because I spent so many years in the U.S. and it's not. Nova Scotia makes great beer. Don't get me wrong, but
we're getting there.
You have there's so many more options in the United States, and when you have 10,000 breweries across the entire country, you're bound to have some pretty fucking good beers. And I've gone out of my way to try the absolute best of the best beers from around North America.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried them pretty much from coast to coast in Canada and just about everything. Like, certainly top 25 breweries in America. I've been to every one of them and I've tried every single one of them. So when I'm hard on a Nova Scotia beer, it's not because I don't like the person that brewed it. I guarantee you, because I know every single brewer, I know every single owner.
You seem to like the beer despite how you feel about the brewer. So
there are those situations.
I never think that your opinions of the person affect the beer, because I know how you feel about all of the people, or specific people.
Specific.
You're not shy. You're not shy about that.
I'm not.
I'm sure the sentence come out. That asshole, he makes a really good beer, and it's easy to do that.
Nor am I shy about saying that nice guy makes shit beer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit beer.
There's no correlation.
There's a lot of shit beer in Nova Scotia.
There is.
There just is.
Yeah.
And people are obviously 130% entitled to their own opinion. I'm here to say, okay, I see you. I hear that you think that beer is good.
Yeah.
I think you should try this beer. Why don't you try this beer? And when I'm hard on Nova Scotia beers, it's because I've had the fucking best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everybody to do better except Greg Nash. He makes really fucking good beers.
That is true.
Greg, I can't fucking tell Greg Nash to do anything because he'll just tell me to fuck off. And I'm fucking wrong, and his beers are fucking amazing, which they are. Everybody else can learn something about how to make fabulous fucking beers, and that is a shining example of a really fucking good beer. And I wish every Nova Scotia beer tasted that good.
Okay.
This good.
How do you put into place. Here is the plan. First, step one, become millionaires. Step two,
I love step one.
we rent a bus.
100%.
We get like a team bus, like one of those nice swanky ones that the NHL teams want and whatnot have.
I mean, I was going to go straight to the New England Patriots, but you went to the NHL. It's
Either
fine.
or.
Patriots bus.
A fancy nice bus.
Patriots bus.
And then we get the crew. You load up in Halifax.
Let's do it.
Say, all right, here we go. We're going to New England.
Yep.
And then we're going to go, through Colorado, head down to California, and then head back up the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be a long trip. But we're taking a representative of as many Nova Scotia craft breweries as we can.
Okay.
Stopping off and saying, here's the good stuff.
Here's the good stuff.
Here's the best of the best of this area. And just work your way around in a couple of ways. Maybe, I don't know, what's that, like a week, 2 week, week and a half? It's about a 2-week trip, round trip.
I mean, a week will get you there. So I've driven across America 8 times.
Okay.
A week is driving 9 hours a day for 7 days straight from California to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
It's not insignificant.
No.
It's 5,000 miles.
It's not enjoyable either.
It's not enjoyable. 2 weeks, I've done 4 trips. Half of the trips I've turned into 2-week beer fests.
You've already done this. You just didn't drag all of the. I see. Yeah, this is the become millionaires part of it. Is you turn it into an educational experience.
Oh, 100%.
And you come back, and everyone else is all 100%. Of a sudden, I can't wait to go brew this one that I call, kicking a dead armadillo on the side of I-95 down in Florida or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
That'd be a good name.
So when my wife and I decided to move back from Las Vegas to Nova Scotia in 2017, we did a 2-week road trip in the middle of the summertime, and we turned it into a pub crawl. So we stopped off. So luckily I have enough family where we went through 19 states, and I only made 2 stops where I had to sleep in hotels. Other than that, I was in family. I was with family.
Oh, all right.
Which was amazing.
My family is not built that way. I could do that in Scotland, but not here.
It was spectacular. Here's the final sip. Here we go. Salud. But it was so much fun because it was like, I mean, America in the dead of summer it's unbelievable. And I think what I love about America so much is the geographical diversity that it has. And every state is so completely different from the next, both in people and in beliefs and in geography, and it's so cool.
Aren't you lucky you live in Nova Scotia?
I sure am.
Where the South Shore is different than the Valley is different from the North.
The
mountains of, If you don't like the geology, just drive an hour. Yep. It's totally different. We are a geological sandwich.
It's really neat.
Of a bunch of crap all squeezed together.
Yeah.
Well, my battery's still only at 50%, but I'd say we did pretty well. An hour and a few minutes in, but thank you, especially Ian Smith of Tapestry Beer Bar, 833 Sackville Drive in Lower Sackville. Get yourself down here. I'm going to keep dragging people, and we're going to be here on June the 20th, which is a Friday, 2 days after the actual anniversary of the Tapestry Beer Bar and Sackvegas Brew Company. Trying out all those new ones. I am definitely going to be here. I don't know what favors I need to call in, but I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to find a way to make that happen one way or the other. But thanks for the invite. Thanks for the Pliny the Elder. Thanks for
having me. It's a fun time as always.
We are doing this usually every Wednesday night, 8-ish to 9-ish. And you can, what can you do? You can go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@drinknsdry. You can find Drink NS Dry on the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, and the whatnot. You can find our podcast in all the podcasty places, or you can go straight to the source at drinkns.unsupervised.beer is where it all gets hosted by our one intrepid listener. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. And good night. See you next week.